What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Conversationalist. My name is Sophie Barron, founder and CEO, and I could not be more excited for tonight's conversation. Thank you all for being here and for being a part of our mission to unify the world one voice at a time. We see so many awesome people already in the live chat. Hey, Joshua. Hey, Leora, Alexandra, Basil, Taylor, John. This is going to be such an awesome conversation. Please join the conversation with us, even if you're off screen or on screen. Everything we do here at TC is a conversation. And tonight we have so much in store for you. Tonight's conversation is all about Generation Z. Generation Z is so unique because not only are they digital natives, but they're coined as the activist generation, also the most diverse generation, had a voter turnout of over 4 million Gen Zers this year, and Gen Z is also known as being the loneliest generation. So there's a lot to unpack tonight, and let's go ahead and get started. We have an incredible lineup of Gen Z panelists as well as an epic celebrity guest host. So let's get the conversation started. And after our panel this evening, we are going to be having an exclusive meet and greet with our celebrity guest host. And I have a very exciting announcement to share with everyone. We are going to be giving away a free spot to our meet and greet with our guest host to the most active participant in our live chat. So start commenting, join the conversation, share your opinions and views on Generation Z with us, and a member from our team will reach out if you are the chosen participant to join our meet and greet with our host, Devon. So before we get started, special thanks to our partners this evening at Generations. Thank you to the team, Sophia, Salma, Lily, and everyone else at Generations for being a part of our panel. For those of you who don't know, Generations is a youth organization that showcases the creatives, activists, entrepreneurs, and changemakers of Generation Z. We're so excited to have them with us today. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to introduce our panelists for this evening, and let's start the conversation. So without further ado, first of all, we have Valerie Gregorio. Next, we have Ransom Fox. Next, we have Toby Lee. Next, we have Peter Tanner Jr. Next, we have Jesse K. And we have the lovely Sofia Del Rosario. And we have the wonderful Amanda Eric. And lastly, we have Ebose Alenoto, and we're so happy all of you are here. Thank you for being here this evening. We can't wait to amplify your voices and hear what you have to say about Gen Z. And without further ado, we're all here this evening also to engage with our awesome celebrity guest host, the one, the only Devon Werkheiser. Devon is an actor and singer-songwriter. You may recognize him from his starring role as Ned Bigby in Nickelodeon's Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, or from his hit songs, If Eyes Could Speak, Miles, S.O.S, and Revolution, and he is an incredible leader and changemaker. And we're so happy to have him with us tonight. So without further ado, I'm so thrilled to introduce our celebrity guest host, Devon Werkheiser.
Hey, what's up, panelists? What's up, Sophie?
Hello, this is going to be so fun. Devon, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. So it's great to be here with you guys. Thank you to Generations and the Conversationalist. Wow, I love this platform. It's so much cooler than Zoom. This is fantastic. So some of you might know me from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, a show that was all about reminding an entire generation of middle schoolers that what you're going through might be confusing. You might feel alone in it, but you're not. We're all going through it, and we're all trying to get through it together. And here are some ways we can get through it better. And that was the heart of our show. And I'm really excited to talk to all you Gen Zers about what your feeling is about where we're at as a country, as a generation, what your answers are. Because look, there's something to be said for wisdom from older generations, right? But it's the older generations that got us in the messes we find ourselves in. So I think it's time we all take a little personal responsibility of like, what's my role in this, and how do I maneuver my time and try and make the world better around me? And I'm excited to see your guys' answers, okay? So let's get into it, all right? I'm gonna throw questions to each of you, and just be honest and open and give me your wisdom. I wanna learn from you, okay? So Peter, let's start with you. What do you think defines Gen Z, and what life skills do you think are important to have as a Gen Zer?
Okay, hi. I think Gen Z is very resourceful. We are very diverse and different from every other generation that we have seen. I definitely think our like big thing that we have is that we're capable of doing like anything we set our mind to, like take it back to like all like the protests, just getting everything like we get an idea in our head, that's what we go for, that's like what we want. So like I feel like that's like our determination for it. So yeah.
Yes, we need you. We need you. Yes, please. All right, we'll come back to you in a bit. Amanda, what about you? What do you think are some of the most important Gen Z life skills?
Yeah, I think definitely being open-minded, whether it's, being open to growth or, just being open to care about social issues or other people. And that kind of leads into being inclusive as well. I think our generation is very inclusive when it comes to the political spectrum, or whether it comes to just different issues that a lot of other generations weren't able to take on. And so I think that me being a Gen Zer, I think I'm just so proud of just how much we've been able to shift as a generation within just this year itself. And then I just can't wait until, next year.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's never a shortage of things to tackle in this life. So I'm glad you guys are all so like open and engaged and active and ready. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, let's throw it to Toby. What about you, man? When you heard the title of tonight's panel, what important life survival skills came to mind?
For sure. So the first thing that came to my mind was empathy. And we forget that word a lot, because we often talk about, I don't know, just being there for each other, but really empathy is the ability to understand what someone is going through, and the ability to say, hey, I understand, I feel for you, and I want to help you. So even when it comes to politics or social issues, or finding commonalities like sports, or love for community, or love for each other, I think that empathy is all about hearing someone, recognizing someone, and loving them for who they are.
And that is, yeah, I mean, that's a key component to surviving our life, and not only surviving it, but like creating it and making it better for everyone. I love that. I love that answer, man. Okay. Sophia, as a founder of a Gen Z platform yourself, what do you think defines Gen Z, and what life skills are most valuable to you at this age?
Yeah, so definitely. Something that I like to say a lot when speaking at things like this, or just talking about our organization, I really think that there's this duality within Gen Z of us being individualistic but also united. And what I mean by this is like Generation Z, we like to put labels on ourselves like based on our aesthetics, or visually appealing stuff, or like we put our music, our favorite songs, our Instagram, or we tailor our Instagram feed to look exactly like us and express exactly who we are. And I think that's just so important, because at the same time, we're united through the movements that we create, and protests, and fighting for social change. And I think definitely this balance that we have as a generation, with putting ourselves out there and using our voice to express who we are as an individual, but also supporting other peers of our generation, is definitely what I think defines us. And I think a social skill or a life skill that we must have is, being fluent in social media, because that's how I feel like we can connect to all different cultures, people of all different cultures, all different backgrounds, people that are different than us, who have different beliefs than us. So I definitely think social media fluency a must if you are in this generation.
Yes, my generation, like we had it in between. We didn't grow up always with social media and technology, but we hit it in like our teen years, and it's different. You guys have had it from the get-go, and it is one of the most important. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have watched The Social Dilemma and seen some of the downsides of social media, but we all know it's one of the most important connectors we have in this world right now. I love the fact that I can get on Insta Live and talk to kids and people from around the world and connect on similar ideas and kind of unify us, like you said, behind a movement of empathy, a movement of action, of taking care of each other. Yeah, respect, Sophia. Okay, Jesse, as an entrepreneur and as a college student in the quote unquote real world, what do you know now that you wish you knew sooner as a young leader? Or is there anything you wish you knew sooner in thinking about adulting and preparing for the future?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I realized was there's no barrier to entry. You're sort of fed your entire life that you need to go to high school and then to college and then get an internship and then get your first job. And then maybe if you do good in your first job, have the authority to get a better job or start your own thing. And I think what I've realized from being with an amazing group of friends and people that pushed me to start when I was younger was there's no barrier. And I think your youth is an advantage. And I think a lot of people are finally realizing that being in Gen Z and being 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and starting your own business, podcast, nonprofit, organization like everyone here on stage is an asset rather than a disadvantage, which I think it was for decades.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like when we're growing up, we get taught like just at some point you'll become an adult when you hit all the things, a degree, a house, a wife, whatever it is. And that moment never comes because it's always now. Like you always can choose taking ownership over your life and what you're creating. And there is no barrier to entry in any of this life. Like I've seen it in you Gen Zers. Like you guys are starting movements, platforms, protests, like you're already starting businesses. And that's what's up. We got to be resourceful in this life. Cool. So thank you, Jesse. Ibose, are you here? Can we hear you? I want to ask you a question.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Fantastic. It's so great to have you here, Ibose.
Hi,
Yes, so as a Gen Z adulting coach, what do you think are the most important life skills for Gen Z to develop?
Okay, hi everyone. First of all, I would like to say the first basic life skill, it will sound very cliche, but confidence. Because a lot of times, I'm speaking from my background, people will look for a reason to discredit your experiences, tell you, oh my God, you're too young, what do you know? If you want to start a business, you'd hear things like, you don't have the money. If you want to have a job, you hear things like, oh, that's not what you did for your first degree. So it's very important to always feel confident enough to take on challenges that life has to offer because you're young. And if you keep giving people the opportunity to decide or dictate how they feel things should happen for you, you would never get anything done. Because if there is anything that I've understood about our generation, it is that the rules that applied to our parents don't seem to apply to us. We seem to do things differently. We are starting businesses in our teens, like early teens, and you have somebody say, oh, I've had a business since I was 15, I've had it for 5 years, and you're like, wow. And somebody that is 48 years old would be like, when I was 15, I wasn't doing that. So I think confidence is really important because I am 22 and I'm not exactly a very physically big person. So when you walk into a room, there are people looking for reasons to discredit anything that comes out of your mouth, anything you want to speak on. So it's important for you to say, okay, I know this well enough to talk about this. I know this well enough to teach people about this. It doesn't matter that I am 20 years old or 15 years old. I know this well enough, and I will not let you make me feel like I am less of who I am. Another very important life skill is ability to relate with others, regardless of differing opinions. Okay, so growing up, I was a pretty controversial child. Not that I was getting into trouble all the time, but well, if you said one thing, I had like 500 reasons why I thought you sounded stupid or anything, which means I was almost always getting into trouble with adults for one reason or another. With time, I realized that, okay, it doesn't mean, there was something Sophie said in in a video on the Conversationalist Instagram page. At some point, you just have to understand that people have different views from you. And so long their views do not infringe on the fundamental human rights of anyone, you can respect their opinions. So growing up, as I got older, I began to better understand, okay, people will have different opinions from me. I can respect it. I can understand it. I can try to, okay, it may not completely make sense to me, but I can understand they are speaking from a completely different background. And over the years, well, as I tried to understand where adults were coming from, like people my father
in the middle of her just laying down wisdom. Obose, we lost you for a second. Can you hear us, Obose? We lost you for a second.
Oh my God, hello, can you hear me now? Is it?
Yeah, we can.
Better?
I'm gonna throw to some other people, and we're gonna come back to you. I think it'll come back because I can kind of hear you better now. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Ibose
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibose. She gave such a good answer. There's a documentary called Bringing Down the House on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but in part it covers Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Congress run. And everyone should watch that documentary for this one moment where she is backstage before debating the 40-year incumbent Democratic congressman that she was running against. And she's backstage and she is speaking into her fears. She's speaking confidence, like into what she's afraid of. So she's saying out loud, she's going, I am smart enough. I am mature enough. I am big enough. I can take up space. She's giving herself permission to own who she is in that moment, even though she's going up against someone who probably thinks she's a little girl and thinks she's not smart enough to speak against him because he's been in Congress for 40 years and she hasn't. And she speaks against her fears and speaks into existence the confidence that she needs to own that stage. And everyone should watch that for that. We all need to have that sometimes when going up against life. Remind ourselves, I'm smart enough, I'm mature enough, I'm big enough. So thank you for that answer, Ibose. Valerie, you've recently graduated from college and started your career. How is the real world and adulting going for you? Do you feel that college prepared you for your life post-graduation? Oh yeah, can you unmute?
Okay, so I graduated college almost like a year and a half ago, back in the spring of 2019. And right now, I'm currently in graduate school part-time while also working full-time in my career field. I have to say college somewhat prepared me, but I wish I was given more advice about how to prepare for life after college. Because once I graduated, okay, at first I thought I had everything figured out, but it turns out that I didn't, and I felt really lost. So I reached out to mentors, and also I talked to my friends, talked to my parents. And basically what I've learned from this is that you do not need to be afraid to reach out to people. And as a Gen Z who's out in the real world, you're not gonna have your life figured out at all. And so last year I didn't start grad school until late fall semester. That was something that I figured out at the last minute. And then it took me a while to get down to my career. And before that, I pursued hobbies. I volunteer at nonprofits and figure out what I actually want to do, while also volunteer for good causes that I actually really care about. So overall, in my opinion, no one has their life figured out, and that is okay, especially as a young person. I do not know what I want to do 5 years from now, and that's okay. I'm taking one step at a time and see where life takes me.
Awesome. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, you don't need to have it all figured out. You need to handle the problems that are in front of you. And those problems might not be 5 years from now. It might mean taking it month by month or year by year. Handle what's in your life and present. Ransom, I want to throw to you as well. What do you find is an important Gen Z life skill? Give us a quick one.
Sure. So when I actually looked at this question, adulting, I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean paying taxes, buying a car? But then it kind of hit me. I took this more theoretical, more abstract. Becoming an adult is coming of age. It's maturing. And I think that is something we are all going through right now. When people talk about Gen Z, they talk about the future, but we aren't just the future. We're the present. We're here right now. We're loud, and we're trying to make positive change in this world. And I think becoming an adult, it's not something that there's a textbook definition for. Everyone has their own way of coming of age. Everyone has their own way of maturing. Some people never even do. But I believe it starts off with self-acceptance. You have to accept who you are. You also have to figure out who you are. A lot of people struggle to find out who they really are, and that takes time, and that's okay. We all have different, there is no right or wrong way. We all have different times to mature, and that's okay. That's okay. And then it comes with loving yourself. Once you accept yourself, find out who you are, and love yourself, then you're grown up. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they're alone in this journey, but we're not. We're all in this together. And I feel like if we reach out, if we open up with each other, if we talk with each other like we're doing right now, these healthy conversations, giving advice, y'all said so many great things. The comments, y'all are saying really great things too. I feel like that's a great step. And I feel like we can use social media, which does cause anxiety and can be seen as negative, as a positive, and use it in ways like this to really reach out together, build bridges, and make peaceful, positive progress in the world. So yeah, I hope to answer your question.
Ransom, you are the man, my friend. So you all gave incredible answers for the life skills that you guys find important right now. And they will keep revealing themselves as you grow, right? So Ransom kind of answered already about adulting, about becoming an adult and that next chapter of your lives, because you're in institutionalized education, you're in college, you're kind of in between the real world and college, and then all of a sudden, kind of like Valerie spoke about, which is you're kind of prepared for it, but you're not. And I don't feel there's a lot of real advice out there on, like, guys, when you get out of college, there's a reason people call it the real world. It's not just to be patronizing. Like, things change. It's different when you're all on your own and your life is entirely up to you and no one's setting deadlines and things like that. So Ransom kicked it off about becoming an adult. Valerie, let's go to you again. What do you hope to see Gen Z accomplish in the future moving forward?
Okay, so what I want to see Gen Z accomplish in the future is definitely actual progressive change. I figured it's time for us to break traditions, time to break what's normal, because I definitely see that we are the future of change, and we can easily break those barriers one at a time. Like, I've seen a lot of changes through Gen Z this past year, and I've seen a lot of nonprofits for progressive causes starting up from Gen Z. And I saw a huge voter turnout among Gen Z. Like, let's keep that going. Let's keep making change. And that's something that I would like to keep on seeing in the future.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, we just went through a historic and insane election that is probably going to be more drama-filled the next few months. So we're moving forward as you guys are moving forward as a generation. We're all moving forward as a country. Peter, what about you? What are some challenges you see facing Generation Z, and how do you think we can solve them?
So for me, growing up, my parents always tell me all these rules that we have to follow and stuff like that. And I feel like those rules are the things that are kind of holding us back. So back to, I feel like what Amanda was talking about with traditions or when she was saying, we have to not get rid of those traditions, but let's be your own person, want change for yourself and for others that are progressive, as what Valerie was saying. I definitely think if we are able to do that, we are able to accomplish anything. Because Gen Z, as we have seen in the past few months, we are able to accomplish many things. So I'm excited to see where we can go with that. And I definitely think we're the present, we're the future, as Ransom said.
Yes,
and
Peter.
I definitely think we're going to go far. So.
Amanda, what do you think? How can we address the challenges facing Gen Z?
I think just through what we're doing right now, having healthy dialogue. I think that, Toby said, or Ransom said that we're very loud and proud generation. And I think that sometimes that could hurt us a little bit when it comes to conversations. But having healthy dialogues where we can, first off, reflect and see what's happening in ourselves, and then from that, reflecting that and seeing what's happening in the world as well. Because we can't go out into the world and try to fix every single problem if we haven't fixed things within ourselves first. So becoming that type of person that is very reflective as well as also unapologetic is what I think Gen Z will help Gen Z, I guess, challenge or take on the different challenges that are happening in our rapidly changing world. And so I'm very, very excited to continue growing and adulting. And I think that I have so much hope in Gen Z as we become
amazing.
Our unapologetic
Don't be too
selves.
excited, all right? The more you adult, the more life kind of puts you through the ringer, all right? How you become the best adult version of you is by failing and facing challenges over and over again. So it's not a fun ride, but it's a necessary ride. And I like that you brought up, so there's always collective problems we're facing and a collective world we're going through, but there's also our individual selves. And you can't only tackle the problems of the collective without taking care of your own room, your own house, your own self. So both get to be done. And that's kind of the learning we all go through, is how to balance both, taking care of our individual lives and then how to take care of the lives around us. Thank you for your answer, Amanda. Sophia, what about you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we can prepare Gen Z for what lies ahead.
Yeah, definitely. What I think is how to have Gen Z prepare for, the real world. I definitely think one thing that's important is bridging the generational gap. I think something like that, like thinking of our grandchildren, thinking of, trying to get them, trying to looking to our role models. And, while like everyone else said, we're loud and we're prideful and we always make change, I really think that we should definitely start looking to our role models and, trying to become even better versions of them and, follow in their footsteps. Because as much as Generation Z has made progressive change, I definitely think that we owe so much of it to, the generations before us and to, the people that have started these movements and started all of these different things. And I think definitely collaborating instead of competing with one another is definitely something that we all need to, start doing, as well as engaging in, civil discourse. And I also think that education is something that's incredibly important in maintaining these healthy conversations, like Amanda said. I think a lot of it is in Generation Z is that we're divided as well as united, like I said before. But as everything is, like all of these different social media platforms, there's always like the right side and the left side, or like this alt side of TikTok, this other side of TikTok, whatever. And I think while it's good to, express yourself and put that label on yourself, we also need to start collaborating more and start seeing that everyone else is just human and we're not just, this person that conforms to this label, that we can all start having more healthier conversations.
Awesome.
Like everyone
Thank you,
else
Sophia.
So yeah.
Jesse, what about you? How will you address the challenges that you see in your future, as well as Gen Z's collective future?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes back to what I said earlier, which is about giving Generation Z sort of the key to take a step forward, take leadership positions, and do things rather than just listen to older generations. And I think 100% should be mentored by older generations, but I think there's a sense of reverse mentoring that could take place too, on sharing experiences. And I think, I've talked about this a bunch, but just putting Gen Zers in leadership positions where there's no rules in their head or sort of a book to follow on how to do it yields amazing results. We launched a nonprofit back in March, and it was exclusively run by Gen Zers to raise money for Corona relief. And we raised over $150,000 in 40 days from 400 Gen Zers. And I think that just shows that Gen Z can be super successful if you let them sort of do it without putting a whole bunch of chains around their legs to prevent them from doing it.
Wow, that's so impressive and amazing. You guys. Yeah, all right, Gen Z. All right. Toby, what about you? What you got? Any thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like a small fish in a big sea. All of you guys are doing amazing things, and I'm only 19, but my mind is older, like Alexander Hamilton says. Just to give a little context about myself, I'm a history major, and I felt so empowered because of this election. And I'm not really into politics, but I was like, you know what? I could do anything with my life. And that felt so empowering. And I often rely on music and movies. And my favorite director is John Hughes because he talks so much about anxiety. My favorite character is Cameron Fry because I find myself looking to Cameron Fry and saying, hey, I've gone through so much that you've gone through, and I cannot, and I can watch a movie over and over and over again. Annie Hall, the Alvy, Woody Allen, that's different, but I rely on music and movies. But my point is this: to get back to your question, Devon. I think that number one, like everyone has been saying, self-love, and that takes so much growth, reflection, and thinking. You know, I'm only 19, and it's so hard for me to really love myself quite yet, because that's just I've gone through a lot, and high school has been tough, and just college is tough too in COVID times. And I think that like I listen to artists like Rex Orange County, like he just talks so much about self-love and just like loving yourself for who you are. If you're anxious or if you're down, then that's okay. And you know, do what you're passionate about. But that might take a long time because I have no clue what I want to do. I'm interested in psych. I'm interested in history. I'm interested in theater. I'm interested in acting. Like I have no clue what I want to do with my life, but that's exciting. That is so exhilarating. And, you know, going to New York and trying acting, I have no clue what I want to do with my life. And that is fun. And that is a good feeling, even though our society tells us that we have to graduate in 4 years and go to grad school and go to New York. It's that linear path. It's that poem by Robert Frost who says the road less taken. You got to take the road less taken.
You're fun. Ibose, do you have any thoughts on how we can face the challenges we see ahead?
Okay. Hi. Okay. My thoughts on how we can face the challenges we see ahead. As I think Sophia earlier mentioned, we need to do away with a lot of our divisive lines. For most of the time, I see people say, I cannot understand. Like, it's so easy for us to disagree in our generation because we are in a generation that has been empowered to speak up on what we feel about, how we see things. Everybody says how they feel about stuff, but most people do not know how to, like I said before, respect the opinions and feelings and values of other people. I keep telling people around me, if it doesn't infringe the fundamental human rights of another person, I don't see why you need to attack it. I feel if we can do away with our divisive lines, we'll be able to have more healthy conversations. We'll be able to sit down, despite our different backgrounds, despite our different values, despite our different social, cultural, economic, religious backgrounds. We'll be able to say, okay, these are the things we need to do to help make the world a better place for future generations. These are the things we need to do to make the world a better place for the children we are bringing into the world, if we want to bring children into the world, because I feel it's still the same set of things that would help improve the world. But if we don't come together and be prepared to have these healthy conversations, be prepared to accept that regardless of how strongly you feel about your values, how strongly you feel about your opinion, there's always going to be that person that doesn't just agree with you. And if we don't learn that we have to accept people as they are, because I mean, if you love yourself and you've accepted yourself, why is it so hard to accept that this other person has values that are just different from yours? This person has a background that is just different from yours. So I genuinely feel if we came together and accepted our differences and understood ourselves, and we were ready to have healthy, honest conversations, we would be able to do a lot more than we have currently done.
Thank you, Ibose. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Devon.
Yeah, I think it's very important to recognize when someone's different from us, but is working towards a similar idea, like they want similar things. That's when you can have trust. Is like, we differ on the way to get there, but we both want the same thing. And then I think it's also important to recognize what aspects of society don't want the same things and are working against that mission that we all have. Thank you for your answer, Ibose. Ransom, let's come to you one more time. What do you think? I want to know, how do you think social media and technology play into all these challenges that we've talked about?
So something that is really apparent to all of us, and some of us said earlier, we are the first generation to have social media be a norm for us. Nobody else has had that. No other generation has had social media their whole entire life. And because of that, we're kind of like the guinea pigs of social media, and no one can really relate to us. All we have is each other. Yet I find that social media is actually driving our generation apart, and that's not okay. You know, tribalism is ripping the fabric of our nation apart. That's why we need a political and social evolution, revolution now, one where we don't leave bridges burned. However, we build bridges and come together and unite. Because if we don't, we won't have a nation to live in the future. And that doesn't mean that we all have to think the same. Rather, the opposite. Ideological diversity is one of the most beautiful things in the world. It leads to growth. It leads to prosperity. It leads to progress. What we need to do is realize what we have in common, because we have more in common than what we have when we disagree. Build from that, take that, and use that to produce wonders that can take our world to heights never even before imagined. And I think social media has been sort of a detriment, but we also don't know how to use it. We're the first generation to have that as our norm, and no one else has that. And I think we can take the negatives and turn it into a positive. And I think by having platforms where we discuss rather than yell, and listen rather than just empty talk, like we're having right now, all these beautiful people watching us right now, all the comments, all the panelists, Devon, you guys are doing such a great job. I think if we do more of this, which we're starting to, we're going to save our nation, and we're going to save our world. And it's time that we start building bridges, not leave them burned.
Yes, Ransom. Oh, wow. Incredible. You guys are amazing. I love getting to hear where you're coming at in the world and what you see for us moving forward. And I think you guys are really smart. You're incredibly passionate, and you have a ton of value to bring the world. So thank you for being here. Do we have time for more questions, or is this it for us? Someone answer me. Someone in the chat. Okay. Wow. Yeah, already just getting a chance to talk to you guys has opened my eyes in so many ways. So I hope those of you watching at home, I hope those of you on the panel, that this has helped open up a dialogue and get to hear some other voices. I don't wanna leave you without giving you my own life survival tips real quick. Okay. The best thing we can do at any moment in life is, it's okay if things are out of our control, right? Many things in life are going to be out of our control and out of our influence, but it's so important at any moment in our lives, whenever we want, we can take full ownership for what we're facing. We can take full responsibility for what we want to create in our life, for what's not working in it and for what we want to make work. And that's a process that's going to happen again and again, because life's going to alter your plans, like with a global pandemic, it's going to change things for you that are way out of your control, and it's going to hurt. You're going to go, no, but I was so close to getting to that thing. And life's like, I don't care, pandemic. And so it's just again and again, as you guys grow, take the hit, dust yourself off, bleed a little bit, wound your, put a Band-Aid on, and then take ownership for that new moment you find yourself in and go, all right, what is my best course of action now? How do I make the world better for me and those around me now? Yeah, that's the lesson adulting has taught me over and over again. Because in your 20s, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to face a million challenges. You're going to want to start a million things. It's all going to go wrong a million times. And it's perfect, because it's going to be guiding you exactly where you need to go, as long as you're taking that responsibility and you're saying, I got this. Like Ibose said, I can be confident. Like, I'm enough. Even if this failed in front of me, I'm enough. I'm enough. I can handle this. Okay, now I learned some things. So just do that again and again throughout your adult life. I want the next time a big failure or challenge comes your way and it hurts, I want you to think of my face telling you this. I want you to go, Ned Bigby told me this would happen, and he told me to dust myself off, give myself some love, tell myself I'm capable, and get out there and confront my next set of problems, because that's life and that's growing up. And by the time you're 30, you're gonna know a lot more about yourself, and you're gonna be even more equipped to lead than you are now. And you guys are already leaders, you're already activists, you're already in the game of life in a way that I don't remember my generation being at 18 and 19 and 20. So hats off to you. It's been a pleasure to get to speak to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thanks to Generations. Thanks to the Conversationalists. Yeah, you guys rock. Thanks for being here.
I am just so amazed and in awe of this panel. Let's give it up for our panelists. What an incredible conversation tonight. Devon, thank you so much for being our guest host. I know I can speak on behalf of the entire conversationalist community and say you are such a natural conversationalist. You can feel your energy through the screen. Thank you so much for being here, and to our incredible Gen Z leaders for sharing all of your life survival skills. And we can't wait to keep the conversation going. So thank you all so much for being here. Okay, we have to say goodbye to our panelists, sadly.
Bye.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Geneva for our after party, so don't go away. But before we hop off, Devon, I've got a couple questions for you.
Let's go.
But for anyone who's still here, we are about to announce the winner of our last meet and greet spot. So you have to be here to win the spot, so don't go away. Devon, before we hop off, thank you so much for moderating that conversation. You are getting so much love from our community. I learned so much from you tonight. Thank you for sharing your life survival guide. I want to ask you before we hop off, how did this conversation tonight break open your echo chamber? What are you learning from Gen Z, and what are you taking away from tonight's conversation?
Yeah, so before the pandemic, I had actually been starting to go to colleges and give a life survival guide talk and actually talk to this generation and do big, long Q&As with 300 students. And that really started this conversation for me. This was a few years back, and realizing that this generation has so much to offer. They're already so engaged in this world. They're already so engaged with the problems of this world because they've grown up with technology, but they've also grown up with a climate that is just really terrifying, and seemingly no leaders in this country are facing it appropriately. Like, they've grown up with massive problems collectively. So this generation, I find, has so much to offer. And then at the same time, as any of us at 18 or 19 or 20, so many questions, because we're not yet adults and we're not prepped for the real world yet. And we haven't had enough real world experience to have like some true, wisdom and resilience on our backs yet. We just haven't gone through enough. So, any chance I get to talk to this generation, hear how much passion they have and how much they have to offer and how many ideas they have about building community and building movements, it inspires me to no end. This was such a pleasure to talk to these people.
Same here. I mean, it kind of restores my hope in Gen Z's ability to really create a better future for all of us, especially during this crazy moment where we're going to see a lot of change in our country. And I just am so grateful that you were here to help us have this conversation. Before we leave, Devon, how can we keep this conversation going with you? We see a lot of your Patreon members in the comments recommending how we can get more from you, but share with us how we can follow you and keep in touch.
Yeah, hi guys. So yeah, please follow me on all the things. Devon Werkheiser on Instagram. Since the pandemic has forced a lot of my social life away, I do Insta live streams a lot, and a lot of it is conversations like this, talking about anxiety and life survival tips and mental health and physical health and all that. So please come join my live streams, turn the notifications on. Follow me on Instagram is the best way to see kind of everything that I'm up to. I have a new single coming out in December. My patrons are here. I have a Patreon if you really want to join my community. And yeah, just please hit me up on social media and let's keep this conversation going.
Love it. Devon, thank you so much. We're going to hop over to the meet and greet. Can't wait to ask you some questions. And the winner of tonight's meet and greet spot, our team has been choosing, drumroll please, is Parker Main. So Parker, if you are here in the comments, feel free to send us a DM on Instagram at The Conversationalist, and we will send you all the info to join the meet and greet. Devon, we will see you there. Thank you so much for just being such an inspirational figure to our generation and for sharing all of your expertise with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Bye, Devon.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, what an incredible event. Thank you all so much for being here. We're getting so much love in the comments. Thank you so much, Melissa, Christina, Caitlin, Shivanshi, Sophia, Emily. Wow, so many of you are here. You really brought the energy tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of our mission to unify the world. And if you want to have more conversations just like this conversation tonight, or if you want to be considered to be a panelist for one of our future conversations, all you have to do is join our community. It is our app on Geneva where we have 24/7 communication with young people all around the country. So all you have to do is text the word unify to 877-222-1119. We'll text you all the info. So join us so we can keep the conversation going about everything Gen Z Life Survival Guide and any other topic under the sun impacting Gen Z. So thank you all so much for being here. We're gonna go join the after party in Geneva. So if you wanna go hop on, talk to other young people, head to Geneva, join the community now. And I'm gonna go head to our meet and greet with Devon. Thank you all so much for being here. We have an exciting announcement coming your way on social media tomorrow. So follow us at The Conversationalist. And we're so excited to continue this movement with all of you. I'm Sophie Barron. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. And thanks again to Devon and to our amazing panelists.